Parks and Recreation's celebration of May is National Physical Fitness and Sports Month. Throughout the month of May, we challenge you to get up, get fit, and play by participating in free activities, classes, and events throughout Prince George's County. Enjoy this fun, interactive, and educational session from a community expert. Be sure to share what you learned during the session with a friend or family member.
Again, welcome and thank you all for joining us tonight for our celebration of National Physical Fitness and Sports Month. My name is Yolanda Galloway and I'm a Health and Wellness Coordinator with the Department of Parks and Recreation. Before we begin, we're just going to touch on a few housekeeping items. On your screen, you should see a microphone icon. And so what you can do is use this icon to mute yourself, but we ask that you remain muted to limit distractions throughout the program. You'll see that button at the top of your screen there. Next, I want to draw your attention to the camera icon, and you can use this to turn your camera off and on. Be mindful that if you do have your camera on tonight, we can see whatever is on your screen, and we want to remember to minimize any distractions throughout the program so that we can focus on what's being presented on tonight. Next, I want to show you how to pin a participant. To do this, you'll need to click on the Show Participants icon. In the Participants column, you select the individual you want to view on your screen. Then you click or tap the three dots icon to reveal a menu. From the drop-down menu, you can select Pin for Me. The pin participant becomes the focus in your view and only your view, regardless of who is speaking. To unpin, you repeat these steps and select the unpin icon. And so if you want to do pin an additional participant, you'll follow those steps as well. Next, I would like to draw your attention to a Teams feature that is for turning on live captions. So to do this, you will click on the three dots for more options. Then you can scroll down and find the option that says Turn on Live Captions. Then you will start to see captions at the bottom of your screen, and you may choose to turn this feature on if you need to. Next is the chat feature. So this is the last feature we want to share with you for tonight. This will allow you to ask questions throughout the program. And so to type a question, you would just click on the icon like the one you see on the screen, and it should take you to what you see next. Once you get here, this is the chat box, and this is where you can just type your comment or question in the space that you see here, and then hit enter. And so this is how we engage in discussion throughout the program. And so we look forward to great discussion on tonight. So without further ado, I'll introduce you to our trained professional for the evening, Miss Melanie Burdick. She is a registered dietitian, licensed dietitian nutritionist, certified diabetes care education specialist, and a certified specialist in obesity and weight management. She is also a certified personal trainer. She holds a Bachelor of Science in Dietetics from Eastern Michigan University and a Master of Science in Applied Nutrition from the University of New England. She believes in practical steps to improving health and wellness, where no foods are off limits. I love that. Welcome, Melanie.
Thank you, Yolanda. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to upload my presentation here and we'll jump right in. So I appreciate everyone coming out this evening. As we were chatting before today's presentation, we were saying how nice it is today. And so when we're done here, hopefully everyone feels inspired to go out, maybe take a walk and enjoy the nice evening. So we're just going to see Teams here. We're going to upload this. Uh-oh. Let's see what Teams is deciding to do. If not, we will go another way. Uh-oh.
We're good. Take your time.
All right. Let's try this again. We'll try this again, shall we? All right. All right, well, we will share another way. How about that? Doesn't like it the way I'm doing it, so we'll switch. There's more than one way to do it, so not a problem. Let's see. All right, do it this way. Technology. Just when we think we've mastered it after all these years virtually, it still likes to tease us. So let's do this again, shall we? Okay.
Sounds good. No problem
Roll
at
with
all.
it, guys. We'll roll with it. All right, perfect. Here we go. So let's go ahead, get started. All right. Perfect. So let's rock and roll. Well, thank you, Yolanda, for that nice introduction. And this is a great time to be active when we think about spring. I just love these evenings where we have lots of sunlight and it's just screaming for some type of activity. So today what we're going to talk about, fueling up and powering down, really the steps that we should take to fuel our workouts and so we can find that proper fitness nutrition. So what we'll talk about tonight, first off, we'll talk about some exercise recommendations. How many minutes a week should we have to have benefits, whether that's to lose weight or have health benefits? And then we'll talk about that macronutrient exercise connection, about how all those macronutrients play a part in our physical activity. And then we'll talk about a pre-workout and a post-workout strategy, the different types of foods that you should be choosing to have that optimal workout. Now, before we jump in, let me know and feel free if anyone wants to unmute yourselves. I'm unable to see the chat, but let me know what kind of activity you like to do right now. Do you like to walk? Do you like to run? Do yoga, aquasize, maybe take the dog for a walk? Let me know in the chat, what are some of your favorite things to do? Anyone have any? So one of my favorite things, I love to go for a walk in my neighborhood. I love to do Pilates. Those are some of my favorite things. So let me know in the chat. And Yolanda, if anyone puts anything in the chat, feel free to holler them out to me.
Walking and cycling, walk and lift weights,
excellent,
walk and riding bikes.
Excellent. Oh, that's all wonderful. And one of the things we want to think about when it comes to exercise, we hear that term a lot, but we can think of it as physical activity. So it's truly any activity that you love to do. So if you love to cycle, absolutely. If you don't, that's okay. There's other great ways that you can work your body to have benefits. So that's great. We've got a highly active group tonight. So when we think about exercise, how much do we really need? So when we look at the literature and the research, what's been found is that we need about 150 minutes of moderate physical activity. Now that's per week. Now, when you hear 150 minutes, you think, oh my goodness, that's a lot of time. But when we break it down over the course of 7 days, maybe that's 25 minutes, 5 days a week, or maybe 7 days a week, or maybe it's 30 minutes, 5 days a week. And so we know with this moderate physical activities that kind of get our heart pumping, our blood flowing, but we can still have a conversation. So maybe tonight after today's presentation, you'll go for a walk in the neighborhood. Maybe you'll call up a friend, but you find that you have to take a few more breaths for each sentence. That's a form of moderate physical activity. So 150 minutes. And so what we know is that just doing this amount helps with your blood pressure, your heart health, and really can lower any of those disease risks. Now, for anyone that's maybe thinking about losing weight, this is often a goal for many. We need at least 150 minutes to 250 minutes a week for weight loss. So that's something to always consider. Could I do a little bit more? Could I push myself to meet some of my weight loss or my health goals? Now, for anyone that maybe has been on a weight loss journey and maybe you're content where you are, what do we have to do for our activity level? Well, we have to aim for anywhere from about 250 minutes to about 420 minutes a week, which is about an hour a day. So just to give an idea of what we need to do, how active we need to be to see health benefits. So I know someone else mentioned in the chat, lifting weights. This is great. So when we think about moderate physical activity, this is aerobic activity, cardiovascular activity. But another great form of exercise is resistance training. So lifting weights, using your resistance bands, even doing activities like with your body weight, squats or push-ups. Those are all forms of resistance exercises. And so aiming for at least 2 times per week, if not more, and trying to work all those major muscle groups. So just some considerations when we think about exercise and what it entails. Now, there are some amazing benefits to exercise, and I'm sure I don't have to tell anyone. You probably have experienced some of these, but when we think about physical activity, any of those activities that we love, if we're able to incorporate it into our day, we can lower our risk of cardiovascular disease, metabolic syndrome, which might be blood pressure, triglyceride levels, glucose levels. Also, when we think about exercise, it helps lower your risk of developing prediabetes, and it can help with your glucose levels if you do have diabetes. And then we also know that being physically active can help prevent or lower the risk of certain types of cancers. So definitely many, many amazing benefits. Now, also too, muscle and bone health, really, really important. We often think about exercising, getting those big muscles, but when we exercise, when we do resistance training, that's also strengthening our bones. So if we're concerned about our bone health or have osteoporosis or osteopenia, these activities can be beneficial for your bones. And of course, flexibility. Who doesn't like to be a little bit more flexible? You can touch your toes, also helps with your balance. And over the last 2 years, I know it's been a bit of a rocky road for a lot of us, but mental health is a really huge benefit when it comes to exercise. So even if you take a short walk, don't you feel great after just going around the block, getting some fresh air and some sunlight? So when we have regular activity, this can help with our mood, depression, and really just gives us that mood boost that we might need. And then, of course, too, promote sleep. So if you're regularly active, this is going to help you fall asleep pretty darn quickly at night. So again, just some of the amazing benefits that come with exercise. So one thing that someone told me years and years and years ago when I was in school, I was a dietetics student, is they said you can't out exercise a poor diet. And so that's always stuck with me. So when we think about our health, our food choices, and really our exercise goals, we want to make sure that we're putting the right things in our body to get that optimal reward at the end. So think about the gas in a car. Now, if I'm driving a very fancy premium vehicle, I'm probably going to want to put that high-end gas in my car for optimal performance. So the same thing with our bodies. When we fill it with nutrient-dense items, it's going to get a lot more out of them, and we're going to see a lot more benefits in the long run. All right, so let's think about fueling your body too. And I'm going to advance these as we go. There we go. Let's go back. So when we think about fueling your body, of course, all of our nutritional needs are very individualized. So what I might need, you might need a little bit different. Maybe you have different things that you're working on. So when it comes to getting the right amount of nutrition for your favorite activity, it is not one size fits all. And so when we think about finding an eating plan that meets our needs for physical activity, we want to take into consideration our macronutrients, carbohydrates, protein, fats, along with the different types of fluids that we're taking in, water, other beverages. And then we also want to think about maybe those other items that we're taking into our diet. So we can't out exercise a poor diet. So maybe we want to minimize those treats that we have, or maybe it's just a very small sliver of the pie like we have here on the screen. Now, one of the great things that we have at Giant, we have our nutritional rating program. It's called Guiding Stars. And this is a really great tool that you can use for your shopping toolbox to find items that meet your particular needs. Helps you find those things that are going to fuel your body to the optimum level. So Guiding Stars rates products based on their nutritional value. So fiber, protein, sodium, vitamins, and minerals. And so it rates it on a 1, 2, or 3-star rating. More stars, the better. So as we walk through tonight, I will highlight some products that you can utilize as part of your exercise, and you'll see the different star ratings. So just a wonderful tool that you can utilize as you're shopping the aisles. You can find them on the shelf tag at the bottom of the price on the shelf, or you can download the Guiding Stars app. It's completely free, and you can actually scan the barcodes and learn about the different products. So it's a really helpful tool. So let's talk about some of those macronutrients. So one of the big ones when we think about fueling our day and our exercise, we want to think about carbohydrates. And this is really your body's preferred fuel. This is what keeps that engine running, so to speak. And carbohydrates, as for a general recommendation, are a significant amount of our calories per day. We should have about 45 to 65% of our daily calories from carbohydrates. So we want to make sure that we're choosing the right ones. And depending on the type of activity that you're doing, maybe if you're doing yoga, well, maybe you don't need to have as many carbohydrates as someone that's maybe preparing for a very long run or a marathon or maybe a more intense sport. So really, our macronutrients do vary. Also, it can vary if you're managing any other chronic diseases, diabetes, or any other areas of concern. So definitely can vary. Now, one thing we want to think about too is the type of carbohydrate that we're having. So here we have on the screen, we have some great options. Now, we hear a lot about complex and we hear a lot about simple carbohydrates. For our general diet, we always encourage Americans to try to have at least half of those carbs, make them whole if possible. So that means more fiber, more protein, and more staying power. So when we think about building our meals, we want to think about filling up our plate with those whole grains. So maybe it's having a bowl of oatmeal. Maybe it's having one of our favorites, the Healthy Living Team. We love Kodiak cakes for a nice pancake breakfast. Or maybe it's something like brown rice, or maybe it's a starchy vegetable like sweet potatoes. So lots of different options that really help us get fueled. Now, we'll talk a little bit as we go through about maybe when we should have different types of carbohydrates, those simple ones. So we'll talk more about those in just a minute. Now, other things we want to think about too when we think about our macronutrients during the day, protein. And this is always a big one when we think about fueling our workout. We think we got to really make sure that we're getting all that we need to make those muscles strong. And protein is really important. It's the building blocks of tissues and muscles. Every cell in our body needs it. So it's really, really important. And so what we need is we need to have, at least for women, the general recommendation is about 46 grams and about 56 grams for men. But individualized needs can come into play depending on the type of activity that you are trying to achieve. Maybe you're doing yoga again, or maybe you're preparing for a weightlifting competition. Your protein needs might vary greatly. So what you can do if you're trying to figure out, okay, what should I aim for? Generally for protein, for most Americans, we start at a baseline. If you take your weight, divide it by 2.2, it'll take it to kilograms. And then the general recommendation is generally 0.8 to 1 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. So that can kind of give you a starting block on maybe your protein needs. Again, it's a lot of math, so we're always happy to do any calculations that you might need from the Healthy Living team. But depending on the type of activity that you're hoping to pursue, maybe you're going into weightlifting, maybe you need a little bit more. So protein needs can vary from 1 to 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, depending on the intensity of your activity. But if you're a light exerciser, maybe you like to cycle, maybe you like to walk in the evenings, maybe you do some aquasize, your protein needs might be slightly increased, but you don't need a significant amount. And the great thing now is that there's lots of protein options available. We have plant and animal-based proteins. And so if you're able to incorporate protein with each meal and snack, this is a great way to help you meet your goals. So things like Greek yogurt, salmon, nut butters or peanut butter, or even shelled edamame, turkey, chicken, or fish. These are all great protein options that are going to help you meet your needs. Now, lastly, our last component, we want to think about our fats, and we want to make sure that we're getting the right amount in our diet. But when we think about fats in our diet, we generally want to have a smaller amount because they are concentrated. We want to have about 20 to 35% of our daily calories come from fat. Now, we hear a lot about fat, and what we want to focus on are those unsaturated fats like we have on the screen. So we have avocados, cheese sticks, nuts, and seeds. These are all great sources. And again, this is a great form of calories, but also a storage house for the different vitamins and minerals and those fat-soluble vitamins that are really important when it comes to meeting our health goals. So a little bit of fat can go a long way, but definitely choosing those unsaturated fats can make a significant difference in your heart health and other health parameters. And what we also know too is incorporating sources of omega-3 fatty acids, those unsaturated fats, that can actually help with muscle soreness that comes with exercise. So tuna, salmon, walnuts, those are all great options that could help with a little bit of that soreness after a workout. Now, when we think about, really finding that optimal diet for exercise, of course, we can't unexercise a bad diet. So we want to make sure as the foundation of our meals, we want to put that right fuel into our car. So we want to use the USDA Myplate. This is a great general guideline for Americans on what we should aim for. So when we think about building breakfast, lunch, and dinner, we want to make sure we have plenty of produce, half plate produce. That's going to give us some carbohydrates and some energy along with vitamins and minerals. And then we want to think on the other side, we want to think about those carbohydrates, the protein, and that also can come from dairy products. So when we think about our general meals, this is what we want to aim for. Now, some things can happen as we are getting close to an exercise session. So we have our standard meals that are nutrient dense. There are often some suggestions that can come about if you're thinking about having a snack before you exercise. So having the standard meals that are nutrient dense, but maybe you're thinking, okay, I want to have something in my system before I go to the gym. So if it's been a few hours since you've had a meal, you can think about fueling up that pre-workout snack anywhere from about 30 to 60 minutes before you head to the gym. So maybe, for instance, you were at work, you had lunch at noon, and maybe you're leaving the office at about 4 o'clock to go exercise. Well, maybe at about 3, you have a small snack. And when we think about having a pre-workout snack, we want to think about things that are quickly absorbed, that give you that energy, refill those glycogen stores, and can help you with that workout. So we generally encourage, as I mentioned, whole grains at meals to meet all of those wonderful vitamins and minerals and fiber goals. But when we think about fueling shortly before a type of exercise session, we want to think about those simple carbohydrates. These items, they are broken down very quickly and they're absorbed very quickly. And they help lessen any kind of digestive distress that might occur during exercise. So if I had my lunch at noon, I might have maybe a small snack. Maybe I might have a banana or some dried fruit or something simple that kind of energizes me for my workout in an hour or so. So when we think about having an easy snack, these are some things that you can utilize. Now, depending on how long your workout was, if it was, an hour yoga session or it was a 3-hour hike in the woods, you might need some additional fuel throughout that activity. So definitely always preparing, if you're doing a more intense activity, you might need a little bit of a bigger snack. Maybe you take a break throughout that activity. But once you're finished, and you finished whether it was your yoga class, your exercise, your HIIT, your cycling, we want to think about recovery. So we want to think about powering down. And there's 3 things that we can remember, and those are the 3 R's. So after we've done that endurance workout, we're sweating, we really pushed ourselves, we've used a lot of our energy stores, we really put our muscles to the test, we need to refuel. Sort of like after a long car ride or travel, your gas tank gets low. So we want to refuel. So when you think about your exercise snack or post-exercise snack, I want to make sure that we have something in our system. There's a lot of different recommendations that are out there. Generally, we say within 15 to 60 minutes after a workout. And we want to think about getting a form of energy, some type of protein, and also rehydrate. So if I go and work out at 4 o'clock after work, I'm done at 5 o'clock, and maybe dinner is at 6 o'clock, I may not need that post-exercise snack, depending on the intensity of my workout. So if I'm going to have a meal within an hour, that would be just fine. I may not need a snack. But if you find that you're really hungry after working out, it may be helpful to have something like a protein bar or maybe a shelf-stable protein drink to have in your bag or in your car. That way you can snack on something on the way home, and that helps lower that level of that feeling of being ravenous when you walk in the door. So we want to make sure we get that energy. So some type of carbohydrate. So that could be your snack bar. It could be chocolate milk. And then also some type of protein to help build and repair those muscles after that strenuous workout. So it could be yogurt, it could be nuts and seeds. It could also be that chocolate milk. Chocolate milk's a very popular one because it has the protein and the carbohydrates. And so having that component with a snack or a meal is really going to help your body repair and recover. And then, of course, we want to think about rehydrating. If you've done an intense workout or maybe you've been on a long hike, we want to make sure that we replace those fluids as much as possible. And so if maybe it's been an hour workout class, generally water is just fine. If it's been something more intense, some people might add in an electrolyte beverage as well. Again, it all depends on that level of exertion and the amount of activity that you did. And that leads us into hydration. Super, super important. It's getting a little bit warmer. And when we think about hydration, this is important as we go through our general day, even outside of exercise, but even more important when we're exercising. So we want to make sure that we're having water as our first choice. We want to aim for the general recommendation. Again, this is general. Women, we want to have at least 9 8-ounce glasses of water a day. For men, it's about 11 8-ounce glasses of water a day. Now, again, that's a very general recommendation. The amount of hydration that we need during the day varies a great deal from the altitude that we live at, the activities that we do, maybe even some of our medical concerns might impact the amount of fluid that we might have. So we want to make sure that we're drinking water as our first choice. We want to minimize any of those liquid calories throughout the day and during exercise because we know that's going to take a little bit longer to burn off. Now, in preparation for your activity, again, keeping a water bottle with you as you go through the day, staying hydrated. And then as you get closer to that workout, again, maybe you're leaving work and you're heading to the gym. You might want to have 8 to 16 ounces before you walk into the gym. And then about every 15 minutes or so, if you're having a strenuous workout, you want to take about 2 to 3 or 4 gulps, depending on the intensity of your activity. Because as we get warmer, we're going to lose a lot of our fluid through sweat. And so we want to make sure that we are giving our body all the hydration that it needs. And it's important that our body's more than 60% water, so we need to replace it as much as possible. Now, it's important too, don't wait until that sensation of thirst kicks in because that's an indication of early dehydration. Now, a question that comes up frequently, sports drinks, should we have them, should we not have them? So depending on the level of activity. So if I'm doing, maybe it's a light, maybe it's a short Pilates class, it's less than an hour, I may not need any type of Powerade or Gatorade or sports drink. But if I am doing maybe an intense workout, maybe I'm training for a 5K, or maybe your kids are at a tournament and they're out in the soccer fields or the baseball fields for hours on end, they're going to be doing a lot of activity and sweating, then a sports drink might be necessary to give you additional electrolytes and some additional sodium to help with those losses. So again, it varies per person. If you were just walking on the treadmill for a half an hour, you may not need them. But again, if you're out hiking for several hours, a sports drink might be helpful just to give you that extra burst of energy as you're going through your activity as well. But as a general rule, we always encourage water as that first choice.
Hi, Melanie. There was a few questions in the chat.
Oh, sure. Yes, thank you. The way that I shared my screen, I'm not able to see the chat. So please throw any questions to me.
Sure, no problem. One was I'm thinking back to the post-workout. So
Yes.
do you have any suggestions for protein bars?
Yeah, there's a lot of different options. Kind Bar is a very popular one that many people enjoy that are about 200 calories, give or take, and have a good amount of protein and fiber. And so if you're looking for a post-workout bar, maybe to have in your bag, a great option would be look for one that has at least 3 grams of fiber and 3 grams of protein. So you're getting something that's nutrient dense, you're getting a little bit of filling fiber, and you just want to take a look at the added sugar too. And sometimes they can vary a bit much, but Kind bars are great. Even Kodiak Cakes now make bars as well. Let's see here. There's Alera bars, which are another great option too. But any of those, if they're nutrient dense, they'd be a great option.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then there's one question around hydration.
Yes.
Are there any other benefits to coconut water other than the electrolytes after a workout?
Yeah, that I would say, there's going to be a little bit of additional calories in there. They'll give you a little bit of electrolytes, but aside that, just the flavor. So depending on the intensity of your exercise, if you'd like to have the coconut water, you certainly can. One thing I always like people to be mindful of is sometimes those liquid calories can add up really, really quickly. So just try to be mindful of those, throughout the day and try to just minimize the intake.
Awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you. That's
Thank
it for
you. Thank you
now.
for shouting those out.
Yeah.
All right. So as we wrap up tonight, just a couple of things to consider. Really, no matter what type of activity that you're pursuing, if you're new to exercise or maybe you're a seasoned athlete, we're all on different levels of ability. We want to think first about, again, that fuel in your car. So nutrient dense meals as much as possible, fruits and vegetables, whole grains, lean protein to help meet your needs. And again, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to the Healthy Living team, and I'll point out our information in just the next slide. And then think about hydration. Really aiming to get that fluid in. I know water can be difficult for some people. I know that's a goal for a lot of us, is to increase our water consumption, but try different things. Having a water bottle throughout the day, even things like hot tea or cold tea or iced tea. Those are great ways to get hydration in during the day. Just always have that water bottle with you when you're doing any type of activity. So whether it's walking the dog to training for a marathon, just make sure you have that fluid available. That way you can rehydrate. And then again, when we think about exercise, so if we're getting ready for a workout, it's been a few hours since we've had something to eat. Think about a small snack that's absorbed really fast. So a banana, some applesauce. Some people will use maybe even one of the sports beverages. If maybe you have a little bit more of a sensitive stomach, you could have a little bit of a sports drink just to give you that boost of energy. But those fast-acting carbohydrates will give you that boost of energy to really get your engine running. And then, of course, when we finish our workout too, we want to make sure that we're giving our body everything that it needs. So making sure that we refill those glycogen stores that have been drained during workout. So make sure we're getting plenty of complex carbohydrates along with your preferred protein source. So plant or animal-based source. This is going to help you give you that optimal nutrition and help you meet all of those fitness goals that you have. And so just one last thought before we wrap up tonight. So think about your activity regimen. Do you find that maybe you go to the gym and you're really, really hungry? Well, maybe considering, having a game plan for pre-workout snacks so you don't feel as hungry when you're getting to the gym, and you might see a change in your workout. And then also think about what your routine is after your activity. Are you having a meal? Are you having a snack? Are you getting everything that your body needs to repair? And we have a great podcast episode on our website, on our Healthy Living Made Easy podcast on fueling your run. So this all talks about preparing, exercising for maybe if you're a runner, for some of those intense activities too. So a great resource if you're looking to increase your training in the future. And lastly, before I'll answer any additional questions that have come in, just a little bit more about what we do at Giant. So we have our Healthy Living team. And so we provide a variety of free services, one of my favorite words. So we provide individual consultations virtually or over the phone. And so if you have any questions today about anything that you might need to meet your optimal nutritional needs for exercise, you can feel free to reach out to us. Our email address is healthyliving@giantfood.com. You can reach out, ask us any questions. We are always happy to help you meet your health and wellness goals. And then I invite everyone today to join our Healthy Living by Giant Facebook group. This is a great way to get some healthy living inspiration, meet our team, and just see all of the fun things that come with health and wellness. And then lastly, our Healthy Living by Giant podcast as well. So you can actually take your camera, you can turn it on, you can scan the QR code here and it'll take you directly to our website, and you can check out the Fueling Your Run podcast, as well as over 100 podcasts that we have on file, from everything from shopping sustainably to meal planning to managing heart health or diabetes. It's all available online or on your favorite podcast app. So with that, I'm going to stop my share and see if anyone has any questions. Now I can see all of you now.
Awesome.
Right.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Awesome.
I don't see any other questions. Yeah.
What I will do, I mentioned our email address, but I'll put it back here in the chat again, just in case anyone has any questions. Always happy to help.
Okay, great. Awesome. Again, thank you as always great information that you and your team provide, for our programs. Thank you all for attending tonight. Just a few announcements that we have. As always, for those of you who are back with us or have been with us throughout this virtual season, we'd like to get your feedback. So we ask that you complete our survey, and if you can do that for us within 24 hours, then you'll be entered into a drawing for a $25 gift card. And we may be able to put that link in the chat for you here, so you can do that before you log off for the night. But otherwise, we'll provide that in the follow-up email, and with any other resources from tonight's program. Again, or as always, our program recording is available upon request. You can send an email to wellness.pgparks.com. And we invite you to join us for our next nutrition workshop on May the 12th. And this will be gamifying meal planning, if I'm saying that correctly. Is that right? Let's see.
That's right.
Okay. Going off of memory here. And so we'd love for you to join us there. Wonderful. There's the evaluation. You can click there. And then that's all we have for you tonight after a quick, brief video. And we will see you hopefully next week. Thanks again, Melanie.
Thank you again for joining us, and we hope you can join us for more programs throughout the month of May to celebrate National Physical Fitness and Sports Month. For more videos to help get you up, get fit, and play, visit the Department of Parks and Recreation's online resource center at pgparks.com or the Health and Wellness Virtual Library at wellness.pgparks.com. To find more National Physical Fitness and Sports Month activities, classes, and events, visit pgparks.com and search for May Is.